Welcome to a special breaking edition of our Australian Open coverage. We are coming to you live, moments after the conclusion of one of the most electric, confusing, and ultimately heartbreaking encounters we have witnessed on the outer courts of Melbourne Park in years. The headline tonight isn't just a scoreline. It isn't just a win or a loss. It is a story of a shockwave that rippled through Court 14, a shockwave that has left a massive Filipino contingent here in Melbourne, and indeed, millions watching back in Manila, stunned into silence. The title of this segment is Whole Australia Shocked, and let me tell you why. It's not because a seeded team won. It's not because of an upset. It is because of the sheer volatile drama we just witnessed between the Filipino sensation, Alexandra Eala, partner with Brazil's Ingrid Martins, against a veteran savvy of Japan's Shuko Aoyama and Poland's Magda Linette. Tonight, we thought we were witnessing the birth of a new doubles powerhouse. For the first 30 minutes of this match, Alex Eala and Ingrid Martins didn't just play tennis. They conducted a symphony. They were up 4-0 in the blink of an eye. The crowd, a sea of Philippine flags, was deafening. The energy was comparable to a Rod Laver Arena night session. The Australians in attendance, the neutrals, were looking at each other in disbelief, asking, who are these two, and how are they dismantling a team as experienced as Aoyama and Linette? But tennis, as we know, is a cruel theater. What followed was a collapse, a resurgence, a physical breakdown, and a final, desperate last stand that fell just short. Here's the bottom line. The hard facts before we go deep. Alex Eala's debut campaign at the 2026 Australian Open has come to an end. Just 24 hours after her singles exit to Alicia Parks, Eala and Martins have fallen in the first round of the women's doubles. The final score, 7-6, 7-3, 2-6, 6-3 in favor of Shuko Aoyama and Magda Linette. But those numbers hide the trauma of the match. They hide the fact that Eala and Martins led 4-0 in the first set before losing it. They hide the fact that they absolutely demolished their opponents in the second set, 6-2, and they hide the drama of the third set, where Eala required a medical timeout, returned to the court, fell behind 0-4, fought back to 3-4, and had the entire stadium believing a miracle was possible, only to see it slip away in the final moments. This was a match of missed opportunities and brutal lessons. We saw the raw, explosive potential of Eala's lefty forehand paired with Martins' net coverage. But we also saw the frosty, calm experience of Shuko Aoyama, a former Australian Open finalist, who refused to panic when down 2 breaks. We saw Magda Linette, a Grand Slam semifinalist, absorb the pace and slowly, methodically dissect the younger pair. Tonight, we are going to break this down game by game. We are going to talk about the Eala atmosphere, this football-style crowd that has taken Melbourne by storm, and how it affects her opponents. We are going to analyze the tactical breakdown in that first set. How do you lose a set when you are leading 4-0? We will discuss the medical timeout. Was it a turning point? And we will look at what this double exit means for the 20-year-old Filipina star as she looks ahead to the rest of the 2026 season. So, settle in. If you are a fan of tennis tactics, if you are a supporter of Asian tennis, or if you just want to understand how a match can slip through your fingers in the high-pressure cooker of a Grand Slam, you are in the right place. This is a deep dive. This is the autopsy of a thriller. Let's get into it. Before we dissect the first ball struck, we have to set the stage. Context is everything in a Grand Slam. Coming into this match, the narrative was heavy. Alex Eala is not just another player in the draw. She is a national icon. Yesterday, we saw her main draw singles debut against the American Alicia Parks. That match followed a disturbing pattern. Eala won the first set 6-0, a bagel, showing absolute perfection, only to lose the next 2 sets. So, coming into this doubles match tonight, the question on everyone's mind was, can Alex shake off that disappointment? Doubles is often a salvation for singles players who exit early. It's a chance to stay in a rhythm, to earn prize money, and to get that Grand Slam win on the board. Her partner, Ingrid Martins of Brazil, is a doubles specialist. Ranked inside the top 80, Martins brings that South American flair, big serve, heavy spin, and good hands at the net. On paper, Eala's lefty baseline power and Martins' net skills are a classic hammer and shield combination. But look at the opponents. This is where the shock factor comes in. They drew Shuko Aoyama and Magda Linette. Aoyama is tennis royalty in the doubles world. She was a finalist right here in Melbourne in 2023. She is small in stature, but has arguably the quickest hands on the tour. Magda Linette is a veteran ball striker who made the singles semifinals here a few years ago. This was an unseeded pair, yes, but they played like a top 10 seed. The atmosphere on Court 14 was electric. Reports from the ground tell us it was 90% Filipino fans. The chants of "Let's go Alex" were drowning out the umpire. This is a double-edged sword. It gives you energy, yes, but it also adds pressure. You feel the weight of expectation with every unforced error. And tonight, that pressure cooker played a massive role. The first set, the mirage of dominance. Let's talk about the first 20 minutes. If you turned off your TV after the fourth game, you would have assumed Eala and Martins won this match in straight sets. They came out of the blocks firing. Eala was serving beautifully, hitting her spots out wide on the ad court, opening up the court for Martins across and put away the volley. Martins, for her part, was a wall. They broke Aoyama immediately. Then they held. Then they broke Linette. It was 4-0. The Filipino-Brazilian pair was playing in the zone. They were aggressive, they were loud, and they were punishing the slower start from the Japanese-Polish duo. At this point, Aoyama looked rattled. Her serve, which is attackable, was being destroyed by Eala's forehand returns. But here's a lesson in professional tennis. A 4-0 lead in doubles is not as secure as it is in singles. In doubles, with a no-ad scoring, though Grand Slams use traditional scoring, the momentum shifts faster. One loose game changes everything. At 4-0, complacency set in. Just a fraction. A missed volley here. A double fault there. Linette held serve to make it 4-1. A small foothold. Then Eala and Martins had chances to go up 5-1, but couldn't convert. Suddenly, the veterans woke up. Aoyama started poaching. For those new to doubles tactics, poaching is when the net player crosses early to intercept the return. Aoyama is a master of this. She started reading Eala's cross-court backhands. She started cutting off the angles. Slowly, the score crept back. 4-2, 4-3. Eala and Martin stopped attacking and started defending. They were trying to protect their lead rather than extend it. That is the cardinal sin in tennis. They did manage to get to 5-3. Eala was serving for the set. This was the moment. The crowd was on its feet. But the nerves appeared. Eala's first serve percentage dropped. Linette and Aoyama realized the youngster was tight, and they pounced. They broke back. 5-4. Then at 5-5, the momentum had completely flipped. The shock was setting in. The crowd went quiet. The tiebreak was inevitable. And in the tiebreak, experience is king. Aoyama and Linette didn't miss. They played high-percentage tennis, forcing Eala and Martins to go for winners that weren't there. They took the tiebreak 7-3. From 4-0 up to losing the set 6-7. That is a psychological blow that destroys most teams. Walking back to the bench, Eala looked devastated. Martins looked frustrated. The script had flipped. The second set, the furious response. Now, credit where credit is due. Most young teams would fold after choking a 4-0 lead. But Eala and Martins showed incredible resilience in the second set. They came out angry. You could see it in Eala's body language. She was hitting the ball harder, grunting louder. They cleaned up the unforced errors. They targeted Aoyama's serve relentlessly. In the second set, we saw the strategy that should have won them the match. They isolated Aoyama at the baseline, where she is weakest, and kept the ball away from Linette. They lobbed effectively, pushing the opponents back, and then took control of the net. They raced to the lead again, but this time they didn't let go. They broke, held, and broke again. They took the second set 6-2. At 1-all, the momentum was back with the Filipino-Brazilian pair. The crowd re-engaged. The drums started beating again. We were heading into a decider. The narrative was perfectly poised for a comeback victory. The third set, the body and the mind. But then the twist. Before the third set began, there was a delay. A medical timeout. Alex Eala left the court. We don't have the full medical report yet, but she seemed to be struggling physically. Remember, she played a grueling 3-set singles match yesterday. The Australian heat, even in the evening, is draining. The physical toll of back-to-back Grand Slam matches is immense for a 20-year-old still adjusting to the full tour schedule. When play resumed, the air had gone out of the balloon. The break in rhythm favored the veterans. Aoyama and Linette, sitting comfortably, had time to strategize. Eala and Martins came out cold. The start of the third set was a disaster. It was a mirror image of the first set, but in reverse. Aoyama and Linette broke immediately, then held, then broke again. In a flash, it was 0-4. Eala and Martins were staring into the abyss. The errors were piling up. Martins was missing routine overheads. Eala was spraying backhands long. It looked over. But this is why we love this sport. Just when the obituary was being written, they started to fight. At 0-4, they held serve. 1-4, a ripple of applause. Then they broke Linette. 2-4, the crowd woke up. Is it possible? They held again. 3-4. Suddenly, we had a match again. The tension on court 14 was suffocating. Eala and Martins had won 3 straight games. They had all the momentum. Aoyama was serving at 4-3, and she looked shaky. This was the critical juncture. Game 8 of the third set. It was a war, deuce after deuce. Eala and Martins had opportunities to break back and level the match at 4-4. If they had broken there, I truly believe they would have won the match. The crowd would have carried them over the line. But Shuko Aoyama showed why she is a champion. Under immense pressure, with the crowd screaming against her, she came up with 2 brilliant serves and a reflex volley that defied logic. She held serve, 5-3. That hold was the dagger. It broke the spirit of the comeback. In the final game, Eala and Martins served to stay in the match. They fought off a match point. They showed heart. But Linette hit a return deep to the baseline, forcing a weak reply, and Aoyama crossed to put the volley away. Game, set, match, Aoyama and Linette. The final score, 7-6, 2-6, 6-3. Part 5, the post-mortem. Why did they lose? So, why are we here talking about a loss? What went wrong? Inexperience closing out sets. The first set 4-0 lead is the headline. You simply cannot give a team like Aoyama/Linette a lifeline. Eala and Martins took their foot off the gas. They played safe when they should have played ruthless. The net versus. The baseline. In the crucial moments, Aoyama controlled the net better than Martins. Doubles is won at the net. Aoyama's interceptions in the third set, particularly in that 4-3 game, were the difference maker. Physical conditioning. The medical timeout is a concern. Eala fading physically at the start of the third set, going down 0-4, suggests that the back-to-back Grand Slam intensity is something her team needs to work on. She has the shots, but does she have the tank for 2 weeks of high-intensity tennis? The emotional toll. The crowd is amazing, but it's exhausting. Playing in front of that kind of support requires a lot of emotional energy. Managing that adrenaline dump is a skill Eala is still learning. As we wrap up our coverage of this electrifying match, we have to look at the bigger picture. For the Australian fans and the global tennis community, this match was a reminder of the depth of the WTA Tour. Even a first-round doubles match on court 14 can provide drama that rivals a final. For Shuko Aoyama and Magda Linette, they survive. They were tested. They were nearly embarrassed. But they found a way. They move on to the second round. And honestly, after surviving the scare, they will be a dangerous team. They have weathered the storm. For Ingrid Martins, it's a disappointing week. She played well in patches, but her inconsistency at the net in the third set will haunt her. But the spotlight, as always, remains on Alexandra Eala. This is a bitter pill to swallow. A double exit, singles and doubles, in the first round of the Australian Open. It is not the result she wanted. It is not the result the Philippines wanted. However, we must have perspective. She is 20 years old. She is competing in the main draw of Grand Slams on merit. She is pushing top 100 players to 3 sets. She is creating atmospheres that most players dream of. The shock, Tonight isn't that she lost. It's that she proved she belongs, even in defeat. She showed that she can dominate experienced veterans for stretches of time. The challenge now is consistency. The challenge is turning 4-0 leads into 6-0 sets. The challenge is physical durability. She will leave Melbourne with a heavy heart, but with a notebook full of lessons. She heads next to the WTA 125 Philippine Women's Open, a homecoming. And you can bet that she will take the frustration from tonight and unleash it in Manila. So, while Australia may be shocked by the drama, we shouldn't be shocked by the talent. Alex Eala is coming. The results aren't there yet, but the game is. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. It was a roller coaster of a match, a story of a massive lead, a brutal collapse, a spirited comeback, and a final heartbreak. It was tennis in its purest, most emotional form. I'm Anchor Name, signing off from Melbourne Park. Keep your eyes on the court, because if tonight proved anything, it's that you never know what's going to happen next down under.